Hi, Caspar here. On the 31st of January 2021, and I have a bottle, well, I've got a glass here of 2009 Château Grand Prix Lacoste. Just a couple of bottles of wine rack. I thought I'd have a look. I'm cooking some beef actually next door, so I thought this would make the perfect accompaniment to. Opened the bottle at 3:30, so it's now 7 o'clock. Didn't decant it, just poured it out. Let us have a look at it. Well, it's deep. It's opaque. It's opaque. It's got a pretty narrow band at the rim that's just starting to turn a bit sort of garnet with the bottle age. It's got a fascinating nose. Let's see if we can dissect this nose and see what's going on. It's got primarily that lovely, snappy blackcurrant, classic Cabernet aroma. There's a little bit of toast still from the wood. There's a intriguing, slightly saline vegetal thing like nori seaweed going on as well. I get a hint of something, and this is something I've observed, and I've not seen anyone else really talking about it with the 09s. I get something from the Merlot, which is almost slightly fatigant, a little sort of. A little sort of flatness, almost a hint of oxidation about the Merlot component, and I wonder whether this is something to do with sort of climate change and the hot vintages in Bordeaux and these incredibly ripe Merlots that they're getting. Much less in here than some other wines. I've noticed it more in other wines, I have to say. It's a lovely nose. It's black. It's got slight smokiness to it. It's you know, having tasted the 09s when they were very young, you know, as barrel samples at the Primo tastings, it's amazing how sort of classically built that is. Really, it doesn't taste hot. It doesn't taste massively ripe. It's actually quite a cool thing. It's very much sort of medium weight. A hint of black cherry just come through at the back of the palate. Nice concentration. The tannins are really there, but they're nicely integrated. They're ripe. They're clean. They're fine, and yet they're nicely present. They create a very nice frame, from which hangs this rather lovely fruit of blackcurrant, but a cherry. The nose adds a sort of classic Pauillac graphite quality as well. There's just perhaps something at the very end, a hint of sort of fruity fudginess that sort of perhaps is indicative of the heat of the vintage. The graphite comes back, and the structure adds a sort of slightly gravelly limestone gravel texture. It's very long in the mouth. It's really very delicious, and actually with the rib of beef that I'm cooking will go perfectly well. It's an interesting thing to taste this wine for a couple of reasons. One, a couple of almost opposing reasons actually. One, that it comes across largely as something very much more classical than I expected from the 09 vintage from the outset. You know, at the outset, it has become a thing of magical balance, and I didn't mention the acidity of the wine. I just went back to have a think about it. It's completely cached inside the fruit and the structure, but it's perfectly more than adequate. It's fine, you know, it's fine. Um, Tannins are beautiful. I just, at the other end of the sort of argument, I have this slight concern about this sort of the the Merlot in the middle coming across as slight, just there's a flatness which I wonder whether that will become accentuated with age. You know, I think people with lots of 09s in their cellars should keep an eye on them. Don't, you know, keep them like clarets of old, you know, where you have the first bottle aged 35. You know, I just get them out, try them out. And I've got to say, the older I get, the more I like drinking younger wines. But you know, I remember noticing in Bordeaux, tasting the barrel samples, that in some wines you just picked up this slight sort of tiredness in the Merlot, as if the Merlot had perhaps come in slightly sunburnt or overripe, or yeah, just a bit tired, and as a result, I think it's probably maybe just worth keeping an eye on these 2009s and watch them as they develop. But actually, you know, at this stage, this is absolutely delicious. It's full of youthful vigor. It's got a nice snap. It's still got some nice primary, rather secondary, black currant sort of snap to it, and purity, and lovely to drink in this state. So I think delightful, absolutely lovely, will be a complete hit with the piece of beef going on next door, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. It's just a lovely thing. There we are. I'll shut up now. That's been 2009 Château Lacoste, a Pauillac of distinction and a very lovely thing.